Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my podcast. Um, I am drinking tonight an orange wine, which I've only had once, and I actually really like it. Like, it's kind of refreshing. It's the Bonnie Doon Vineyard. Um, I can't pronounce it, but it says orange on it, so you can't really miss it. No, yeah, that's fire. I'd give it like a 9 out of 10. Okay, so welcome back to my podcast. Since last time, I have received so many amazing messages from people and like finding my podcast thinking it's relatable, saying they've been through something similar, and it's been really helpful in like this period of my life because I've been kind of struggling recently, and like it just came at a really good time to like hear that I'm not alone. So, one of the girls that messaged me actually was talking about how she just graduated and she graduated early and that she's feeling kind of lonely and like the whole post grad thing is just really new. And I'm realizing that I never really have talked about this subject of the reality of post grad being in your 20s and like how fucking confusing this time is and how lonely it can be and how depressing it can be and just kind of just an overall challenge because it is really hard. So I just graduated this past year from college and if you're new here and you haven't listened to my previous podcast episodes, where you might pick up on the dislike that I had for some people in my life in college. Well, I graduated early from school and we were on a quarter system. So I graduated a quarter early, but 2 quarters early. So the second quarter of the school year, I actually moved out like just about completely without like announcing it. Like I kind of just disappeared from all my roommates. I lived with 8 girls total. It was a lot. Girls are mean. I was so over college by my senior year. I was so ready to graduate. I wanted to start working. Like I was just ready. And I thought that being ready to graduate would mean that by the time I actually graduated, it would be a really easy and like smooth transition. It wouldn't be, I feel like a lot of people feel like they're forced to move on from something when they graduate. And I felt ready and like already moved on by the time I graduated. So it just made the whole process a lot easier. But as time goes on, I'm realizing it is still not easy and it is a huge transition still, even though I was like migrating home towards my last couple quarters because luckily live really close to home. It was really easy for me to like kind of have like a safe haven over here. When I was overwhelmed, I was over the partying. Like literally on a Tuesday night, my friends would be going out, and like I used to do that too. I'm not like judging them. It's just like I was so over it that like I just didn't like being around it. It felt like a really toxic environment for me, and I was just ready for a change in lifestyle. And it was really difficult to do that in my college house and like still being on campus. So even though I was ready to graduate and like move on, it's still a really big change and like an entire life adjustment. The future's so unknown. And I think routine, even if you don't think you have a routine, but like your normal life, like the cycle that you're in right now, it is a routine. Like we would go to school, go to class, come back from class, do some work, lay in the sun, like whatever that looked like for you in college or looks like, you have a routine and it keeps you like mentally sane. Even if you don't think you have a routine, everyone has these little habits that kind of keep them sane. It's like a structure in your life. And so when that kind of gets shooken up when we graduate from college and like try and navigate post grad life with like maybe starting working, moving to a new city, it's really difficult. And like not having that structure anymore is really hard to navigate and can put you in kind of like a funk, what I call it. So there's no more like structured next period in your life. Like there's no next quarter or like next semester, next sorority formal or frat formal, or like there's no like next year with like school, like, oh, next year I'm going to take these classes. There's no more of that. And like it's not necessarily a bad change. And I think that's where like we should reframe it a little bit. It's just change. It doesn't make it easy, but it is just change and that's all it is. So since I've graduated, I have moved home and started working right away. I'm not in like a corporate work position right now in my life, and I'm really happy with that decision that I made. I will be eventually. I just am building my resume a little bit more in a different way. So like I'm working in fashion marketing where I work at a boutique in town and in my hometown, and I do all their marketing. I go on buying trips to New York, LA. It's really great opportunity and great experience. And I also work for my parents who are in real estate and I do their marketing. So just to for some background of like my situation and where I come from. I live at home. My roommates right now are my parents and my dog. I have literally no friends here anymore. Everyone's moved. Everyone moved on with their life. Everyone's moved to a new city. No one's here. And even if you're in a new place, you might feel the same way where it's like, okay, well, like I moved here and like I feel this way too. That's so normal. Post grad, you literally have to start over. If you think about it, you literally start over. If you're in a new city, you have to start over. Like you have to make new friends. You have to grow like a community. You have to intertwine yourself in your community. You have to get involved. You have to go to new coffee shops and make friends with different baristas than your hometown. Like it's just everything's new and you kind of have to rebuild yourself if you go to a new city even. And it takes a long time to rebuild your life. So for everyone that's like post grad recently, it's like give yourself grace because it's an adjustment. Again, like you have to find a new routine. You have to build your own new life and identity and make new friends. And making new friends can take a long time, especially trying to find like real, really great friends. That is not an easy thing to do. Think about how long that took you to find like your best friend that you have. Like it's not something that comes quickly, it comes with time. So don't get frustrated. I think that's really important. I think I haven't moved to a new city yet because the way I look at it is when I do move to a new city, I'm still trying to figure out where that is, but I want to make sure it's worth the move. I mean, I'm going to be working my butt off to pay rent and afford this new place that I'm living in, that it's really important that you make the most of it. For example, a lot of students from my college graduate and go straight to San Francisco. Great city, great place to live, really awesome post grad spot to be in. But I also noticed that everyone kind of stays friends with the same people from college, which is fine. 100% that is fine. And like I admire that. Like I think that's really cool to like keep those friends. But me, I want to make sure that when I move somewhere, I'm not doing the same things that I did in college in this new place with the same people. Like I want to branch out. I want to make new friends. I want to grow my network. Like I'm ready to move on and I feel like being in that scenario personally is not a good way for me to like move on with my life from college. It just feels like I'd be stuck again. And I think that everyone who moves somewhere new after post grad like needs to like attack it a little bit. Like you kind of have to like branch out, be an individual, live by yourself or like find a random roommate on Facebook. Like now's the time to do that and like if you want to really like capture the like post grad life, like that's how I envision it. And that's what I'm looking for right now, which is really exciting. But again, it's really fucking scary too because it is change. Routine helps post grad. We have no idea what the fuck we're doing. Being in our 20s, it's like, I think it's really glamorized and romanticized that like we're in our prime and it's like the best years of our lives are our 20s. And as much as I agree with that, like we are at our prime, like we're probably the hottest we're ever going to be in our lives. If like we're blessed at this age, like we are at our physical prime probably, but like mentally we're not quite there yet. And like I think it's just it is a prime. Like our 20s are a great time in our lives. But it's also not talked about enough how difficult our 20s actually are. I mean, like being in our 20s means we're going to be broke as fuck. We don't have money. We have no fucking idea what we're doing. You could be 20, like late 20s even, and like think you finally figured life out. And then life reminds you that you have no idea what the fuck you're doing and you might have to restart your career or find a new, like you just move to a new city, like you have to do it again. And it's like all those things we're learning from them. So it's like you just kind of have to take everything with a grain of salt in our 20s because like you're not alone. Like I sometimes get FOMO because I'm like, okay, like I feel like I'm behind right now. Like everyone's already living somewhere else and like doing this and that and working these jobs, but like slow down. Like I was talking to my really good friend the other day and like she was like, yeah, I've kind of just been like having crash outs that I'm like, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life. Like she's working a corporate job and she's like, there's no end to it. It's just like the time thing is different. Like again, with school, there's structure and you're just learning a new structure. That's all it is. But it's daunting to think like I'm going to be in work, like working a corporate job for the rest of my life. And if that scares you, which fair, like I can't do that. Like I can't even face that reality because I will never do that. My dream has always been to like be my own boss. I'm very entrepreneurial and like I hope I said that word right. I don't know why that word's really hard for me. Anyways, it's like reframe the thinking where it's like you actually might not be doing this for the rest of your life. Like take time off. Like if you're going to quit your job, like set aside some money to like travel for 2 months and then go back and like have a job lined up. Like it's just start a side hustle. Find like a passion or like a passion project that you're excited about. Like this for me, like just having something to do on the side and like so things in your 20s are so confusing, but habits, structure, and like adjusting is all it takes to like breathe and like calm down from graduating college because it's a really weird transition time and everyone has their own pace. Everyone does it differently. And there's something really important. So my brother created this like online community called Navigating Your 20s. It's kind of like a small business and I've helped him out with it and we just created or he just created a guided journal that I helped him out with. And it's selling on Amazon. I don't want this to sound like an ad because like I'm not meaning for it. I'm like being very genuine. I'm not just doing this because it's like my brother's thing. I actually bought it myself because it's helped me a lot. It's called Navigating Your 20s, the guided journal, making the most of our 20s. And it focuses on everything that I just said, basically. It's kind of a way to rebuild your structure, like post grad and like there's a section for goals, habit tracking, to-do list, expenses, and thrill a day. My favorite section is thrill a day because it kind of encompasses like his entire mission of like making the most out of your 20s and like you can still work a 9 to 5 but like live a happy and like thrilling life and make the most out of these prime times that we're in our 20s. And like he created like a little template in the beginning that kind of gives you examples and like examples of thrill a days would be like cook a new dinner recipe, intramural sports, happy hour with a coworker, movie night, workout class, go on a walk with a friend, like things like that are like so small that like you wouldn't think you should plan in your agenda for the week, but it's like little things like that that like keep you happy and like bring you joy post grad when like you're transitioning into like working and like there's no end to it. Like there's no like, oh, it's summer break. Like we don't get that anymore. And like it's really daunting, but it's just an adjustment and it's just change and change doesn't have to be scary. But anyways, there's a lot more in here that are just really great, like habits, like it kind of just holds you accountable a little bit and like there's a section to fill out your annual goal at the very beginning and weekly reflections. The expenses one I'm working on because I definitely have a spending problem still and I'm really trying, but it's holding me accountable. Like I'm actually feeling guilt when I like spend money. Um, it will eventually stop me from spending money, I'm sure, but like right now it's at least holding me accountable of the guilt for spending money on stupid shit. But anyways, um, they have a TikTok account too. It's really great. Anyways, go check that out because it's actually really cool. And it's if you're feeling like anything I've said has resonated with you, then like this has been actually very helpful for me. And I'm very particular about like guided journals like that because I've tried like so many of them and like always just give up after like 10 pages. But this one's actually like useful and like it's very niche to me. It feels like being in the state of life that I'm in, being a recent post grad in my 20s. But yeah, anyways, I think it's just the reality of post grad is really fucking rough. It's glamorized, it's romanticized. it's really challenging, but it doesn't have to be a bad change. All it is change and like regrowing yourself, learning more about yourself, finding a new identity. And like now's the time to like do all the things that you said you wanted to do. Like for the longest time in college, I wanted to make a podcast, but I never had the balls to do it. And now it's like, what else do I do with my life? Right. um, we're going to be broke as fuck. We will make mistakes. We still have no idea what we're doing. We're going to choose the wrong guys. We're going to fall in love and we're going to get our heart broken. Um, but that's like the best part about being like in our 20s and like, I don't know. It's just, we're so young and like we kind of can just do what we want right now and we can blame it on being young. So we can fuck up and say, well, I didn't know any better. Like I'm still learning. And then we do learn from these things. Like it's important to make mistakes and give yourself grace. Like again, you could be in your late 20s or even later and like you can life will still remind you that you have no idea what you're doing. Life will still humble you. So it's just a mindset and like I don't know. Post grad can be hard, but like we're everyone's going through it together. Like put yourself out there, make friends, like don't be afraid to message people like in your area and be like, "Hey, sorry if this is weird. I'm sure that person was sitting there wishing that like they had more friends too." So, put yourself out there, be bold, live your life. Post grad is scary, but that's okay. Just make the most of it. I'll talk to you guys soon. Good night and cheers. Bye.